Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's podcast time. Yeah, dig it? The Dynasty Podcast is brought to you by Jube's Family Restaurant. Family owned and operated since 2002. Jube's Family Restaurant's gourmet pizza and fresh food seafood is better than dirty, dirty sex. Get your ass to Jube's Family Restaurant and don't forget to tip your fucking waitress.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the assholes on the Dynasty tonight. That's right. It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain on the Dynasty tonight. Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's like some kind of torture to have to watch the show. And now let's get things started. Why don't you get things started? It's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, sexuational. This is what we call the Dynasty Podcast.
Greetings and salutations. You are listening to episode number 9er of the Dynasty Podcast, brought to you by
Jumbo Donuts.
Nope.
Jube's Family Restaurant.
There it is.
I've been away for a week, Eric. I kind of
know,
forget. I'm
I
a little
know
forgetful.
You're on vacation, bub. You did that in the Keeper Selection
I
show,
know,
which was hilarious, by
I
the way.
fudged up, guys. But you know what? Hey, I just flew in. I'm back, and boy, are my arms tired.
Wow.
Something like that's something, right?
As you heard, Bub is back here at Tom Berkowitz Riverdale Studios, and Bub, it's good to have you back. Though.
Thanks.
You know,
Yeah, you had that stupid Jay Young.
You know, he did a good job.
Yeah,
he did
okay.
He did a good job.
I mean, Mandy was not terrible.
The one thing not the one thing, but the main thing that I really liked that Jay Young brought to the table was the comparison. I never thought of the comparison or the analogy that he had that I am like Peyton Manning, the pre-Super Bowl winning Peyton Manning, and John is like the post-winning Eli Manning.
Younger brother, and now
Right.
kind of overshadowing older brother because
Right.
he has got a big win.
He's got the title, and So anyway, hopefully, like Peyton, I get that monkey off my back soon. But
Or you lose this week? Ha!
oh, Bub, come on here. There's nothing like the Bubba Scooper connection. So let's get back on the right foot here. Come on.
Okay, the rock and sock connection. I
Yeah,
get you.
like in four squares, you know?
Yeah.
You know? We wouldn't even have to say anything. We would just look at each other. We know, all right, we're going to team up on this fucking asshole.
But obviously you couldn't do that because that's cheating. So
Right.
we didn't actually know, but we did
it's
it.
not cheating if you just don't say anything.
Right.
But, if I just happen to accidentally hit it right in the perfect corner of your square for you to slam somebody out.
I'm going to slam them into
You're going to slam them
oblivion.
out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, Bub, checking my math here, and I think we had a little bit of a spat last year regarding this, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're now officially halfway through the Jube's Family Restaurant Dynasty 10 regular season. Am I correct?
No.
Wow.
Well, there's 15 regular season weeks,
Yeah.
and we just finished week 7,
Okay.
plus 2 days.
Yes.
So tomorrow would be the official end.
Well, tomorrow is Wednesday, which is the day the podcast is
Actually,
released.
no, technically not, because week 15, the regular season ends on that Monday night. It doesn't end on the following Saturday, right?
Okay.
So week 15.
So Thursday?
Yeah.
So this Thursday.
So if you're listening to this on Thursday, it's
then
officially.
it's officially. If it's before, then it's a day off. If it's a day after, then you're a day after. We never know. We never know here. So, Bob, what I want... Yes.
I know this isn't really the Call the Dynasty podcast team
segment.
but
It's
yeah,
not.
we
We are going to be doing that in a couple weeks, though.
That
was fun.
I can see the light. We actually have a caller. Do you want to just take it real quick? Just so
you want to, we can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have callers all the time. We usually ignore them. You want to actually take
yeah,
one right now?
The title actually says Bub sucks. So I'm curious.
Oh, we
to see
gotta
what
take
it
it.
is.
Let's take it.
All right, caller, you were on the air. What is this? You think I suck? What is this?
This is Coach Ben Green of the Boston Loggers.
Hey,
Hi, Ben.
Benny G.
Hey, Ben.
Hey. So, Pooch.
Yes.
I had asked you last week when I called in. I said, were you enjoying your self-appointed role as league villain this year? And it's okay, you didn't answer, but, the second question is, has anything changed within the last few weeks, since you've won a few games? So, that's my question.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fuck you.
No,
Ben.
that's a good question. You know what? He's right. He clearly asked you about your
you're
little
right.
league villain status. We've had a lot. I'm going to lead in with your answer if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
A little history
sure.
here.
Yeah.
Here, a little history lesson for you fellas. We've had a lot of league villains in this very league. I think of the Lemon Towns of the world back with his Coke Nail and his son.
Clarky Crackers.
The Clarky, yeah, the fucking douchebag, right? Then it kind of translated, I think, a little bit into the Defagowitzes, both of them. Then it probably went to the Guard Dogs for the quite a long time. I think I'm always probably kind of one, being the commissioner, certainly.
Yep.
I'm not sure anyone else is. Think of anyone else that
I can. That's all I.
I think we've all had maybe our moments.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
And Bub, it looks like you've kind of at least self-appointedly taken on the league villain role this year, maybe via your power ranking articles, just blasting everybody. What do you think? What do you think of Benny G's question?
Yeah, well, you know what, Ben? I'm sorry for swearing at you. Yeah, that was a good question. I think I like it. I think it it brings a different dynamic to the league. And you know what? Hey, I don't care if everyone hates me. They can hate me all they want. Haters gonna hate, Slater's gonna slate. You know what I'm saying? So, jeez.
There's always gonna be a villain. What would Hulk Hogan be without Andre the Giant?
It's true. It's a great point.
Right? Like you gotta have a bad guy. What would Stone Cold Steve Austin be without Vince McMahon? Right?
And I don't mind being that guy. Put it this way.
We all don't even look at you as like a mean individual.
Right, I'm just kind of like
hard for me.
It's like a behind the scenes type of thing. But if Will calls in and says he hates my guts because I'm wicked mean and blah 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 blah, I'm still gonna sleep tonight. I'm still going to be able to sleep tonight.
You're not going to lose any sleep?
I'm not going to lose any sleep.
Is there anything anyone could do to make you lose any sleep?
No. No, because
There's nothing.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care about anyone in this league.
Personally?
More than I care about a stalk of broccoli.
And is that including your own brother?
Yeah, he can.
Wow.
He can just curl up in a ball and die for all I care.
So, Bub, you don't care about anyone.
No,
in this league, at least.
I'm here, maybe not this year, but I'm here to win fantasy football trophies, and I'm here to win money, and I'm here to win fame and glory. I'm not here to make friendships.
Yep.
I'm not here to sing Kumbaya with a guitar in front of a fire, although that would be really cool. Maybe we can do that next year at the Hangout.
Do you think, though, maybe if people start to hate you, which I kind of don't see happening, although Brian, you and him had quite the breakup a couple weeks ago.
I still haven't talked to him. I'm curious to see how that's going to go on Sunday.
I actually haven't talked to him in a while either. I did shoot him an email about, I think it was Rob Ryan? I think it was Rob Ryan, who, when he was on the Patriots, like 20 years ago, as like a defensive quality control coach or something, back in like the 80s, and he looked just like Kenny Powers.
Yep,
like
I saw
the
that.
spitting image.
Yep.
Shot him an email, he didn't respond. But anyway, we'll see what happens with your league villain status. Maybe it will snowball into something bigger. Maybe it won't, because
to answer Ben's second question here,
what again?
Now that I've won 2 games, has anything changed?
Yes.
No, because
Nothing.
I'm going through this league, and I'll tell you right now, if I make the playoffs, I wouldn't be shocked the way my team is playing.
Wow.
I wouldn't be shocked. So I'm going to
Wow.
I am steamrolling through the dynasty right now, and anyone who gets in my way is just going to get trucked.
Wow.
Don't stand on the tracks when the trains are coming through.
I'm starting to not like you right now, Bub, so this is kind of working. But on this show, let's kind of move forward here. Good job, Benny G, and Bub, you might want to rethink what you're doing here. Jeez Louise. On this show, we're going to go ahead and review what transpired here in transpired in Week 7. We're going to have a little power rankings update. That should be fun. We're going to analyze Week 8, And we're not going to have a coach's interview on the show this week because we wanted to clear up a little bit of time. We got something really cool here in the interactive segment, Bub. And before I talk about this show's interactive segment, let's just briefly talk about last week's. Did you enjoy the Charter DirecTV little competition? How'd you feel about that?
I'll tell you what, Eric, I didn't even get to listen all the way to that part.
Get out. Get out of here. No, leave. I'm serious. Get out. Keep walking. So Bubba has left Tom Berkowitz's Trucking Riverdale Studios. I've literally kicked him out. I'm not kidding. He's not. I can't even see him right now. He's left. A co-host, a normal, not a normal, but a regular co-host did not listen to last week's show. I am Joe, but get the fuck
Forgot my phone. Hold on.
out of here. I'm not sure if I'm going to invite him back or not. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed the interactive segment last week. I think I did a perfectly valid job in disconnecting from the Charter employee who didn't even watch Back to the Future. Anyway, I guess let me tell you guys what's going to happen here in the interactive segment this week. We're going to have Bill Green. He is not related in any way, shape, or form to Coach Ben Green, who we just spoke with. But what he is he is actually the creator and owner of a little website called www.fantasydispute.com. And we'll talk a little bit more about it as we come up to that portion of the show. But it's a fascinating website. It's very intriguing what we'll be talking to him about. It's a great website for everybody. If anybody has any spats or any quarrels with me, with Bob, with anybody in the league, I know that we've already had some already this season. So if you wanted a third party, a neutral individual to assess the dispute, this is what you can do here in this particular website. Anyway, it's a good interview opportunity for us, or maybe just for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to let Bub back in here, but we see. Let's see what we got going on here the rest of the show. Bubba, come back here. Bubba.
Now let's take a look into last week's results. Who kicked some ass? Who sucked?
Welcome back, Bub.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Actually, I don't
I'm not
apologize.
I don't apologize either.
All right, we're both not sincere with our apologies. Anyway, week 7? Week 7, quite a bit went on. There were a lot of defensive pick sixes, as we saw in your email.
Yeah, I can
Chris and Zach must have been completely sloshed by the end of the day.
Do we have a quick minute?
Sure.
I can. So obviously, as hopefully all of you know, they had to chug 3 teas because I beat Zach the week before, and Zach did it like a champ.
Good job, Zach.
Took him
pretty much the only thing you've done good this year, or within the last few years.
It probably took Zach a minute.
Wow.
To chug 3, maybe even less. Heaney, actually better than I thought. He's not a big chugger.
Okay.
But
that's okay.
He did okay. He did okay. And then...
Did you get it on film at all?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
A recording or a picture?
Oh, it's a recording. It's
okay.
a video. I'll tell you what, though. It's basically what you would think.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. I was hoping Heaney would boot after, and he almost did.
Yep.
He had the trash can, but he never threw up. The worst part was, at 105, there were 2 more taints.
Right.
Immediately.
Right.
So after
and for our listeners, a taint is
a touchdown after interception,
Thank you.
pick 6, aka pick 6. So that was 5, and they did the 3 tees at 12:45.
Isn't it a taint also the area between your balls and your asshole?
Yes.
Okay.
So whenever there's a taint, we drink a twisted tea, but we also tickle
each other's taints.
Yeah.
Sure.
So at 105, they had 5 twisted teas in 20-ish minutes.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, I think there were 3 more. So that was a total for them of 8,
right.
I believe, twisted teas. I had 5.
Right.
I felt like shit in the morning.
Imagine how they felt.
I can only imagine. I'll tell you this: my poop Monday night was black liquid.
Wow. Just came out liquid black.
It was It was the grossest poop I've ever had.
Right. Doesn't sound good, Bob. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you all enjoyed that little
great.
anecdote.
That was great. So here in Week 7, for the second week in a row, we really didn't have any close games. A couple blowouts, a couple just, not close games, but not, blowouts. So let's kind of go through them. The game of the week, of course, was the Hong Kong Cavaliers defeating the Pig Newtons, 106-73. Bob, what do you think about this game here that transpired at the game of the week?
Yeah, Phil's team not too good. Not too good for Phil. I mean, Foles got hurt,
right.
A little bit there, but even then they weren't putting up any points. I've said it before, I'm not trying to bash Phil, but I kind of am. I just don't think his team is that good.
Yeah, and I think you said that last year. He ended up making it all the way to the Dynasty Bowl.
But just look at it. Look at his team. He's starting Cox, Stacy, Zach Ertz. I mean,
sounds like a boy band.
Ugh.
Well, he drops down to 5-2, but he's still in pretty good shape. He's only 2 games out of the division, and he did snap his 5-game winning streak there. Hong Kong goes to 7-0. The sumbitch is really taking the league by storm. Bob, do you think the perception of the Hong Kong Cavaliers franchise is kind of turned at this point?
No,
you don't.
No.
I kind of think it has, but
no chance.
What will it take for that to occur? Him to make the playoffs? I mean, he's kind of gonna make the playoffs.
He has to
win, right?
If he makes the playoffs and loses, if he goes one and done in the playoffs, he will still be known as a losing franchise.
That's true.
Because he's lost, 4 in a row? He had 3 5 wins, and then the last year was a 6-win season, I think.
Yeah.
And then if he just loses again in the playoffs, his whole season will just be erased.
At least it's an improvement, though.
Well, it's an improvement, but he's still at that point, if he loses, still a terrible franchise.
Right. Okay. All right. Well,
so a lucky year. It's a lucky year.
Ooh, a lucky year. Yeah, we may have seen a lot of lucky years here in era 2.
Yes, of course.
Hong Kong's got the number 1 receiving corps. He's got the number 1 defense. Obviously, again, 7 wins in a row, which actually passes John, who has had 6 games winning streak at one point in his franchise's career, for the 6th longest winning streak of any franchise
Does that include duplicates, or is that the 6 different teams?
That does not include duplicates.
So if you had a 10 win and then a 9 win, you wouldn't count the 9 win.
Let me show you here on the nifty spreadsheet, because I'm probably not explaining it exactly.
And maybe I can explain it a little better.
You can help me here. See where it says longest winning streak franchise has ever had. And then,
okay, so it does not include duplicates.
Okay.
So if I had a 9-win streak and then an 8-win streak another year, it doesn't include the 8. It's the franchise.
But see where Hong Kong is now. He's 7. No one can see this because this is radio or a podcast. This is really not good translation.
No,
here.
but it's so he's the 6th best team when it comes to winning streaks of their franchise.
Thank you, Bubba.
Basically, which is kind of
stupid random.
Yeah, it's a moot stat, but
you guess who has the number 1 longest win? Oh, I can't say that. Oh, I can't say that because that's me.
Guess who has the most weekly points ever scored in 1 week? Fuck you.
Oh, that was violent. So the next game was the Rockdalian Senators really putting it on Soglo, 148-72. Senators and Soglo both sit at 3-4, although I think both franchises are kind of headed in different directions here for this season. Looks like Soglo is now in the midst of a selling spree, updating his trade block, and it's interesting. We talked about before how he's really dependent on Peyton Manning.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, has Manning been just glorious this season.
Glorious.
He's obviously got the number 1 passing attack, but Bob, just off the top of your head, where do you think he ranks? Let's start with his rushing attack. 1 out of 12, 1 being the best. Good guess. He's actually 11th.
Okay.
What about receiving?
Well, I know he's not 12th because I'm 12th, so I'm going to guess 11th.
Correct. What about defense?
6th.
10th.
Oh.
So he's actually in the the bottom 3 in rushing, receiving, and defense, and then obviously number 1 at passing. So we'll see what happens with Soglo. And then Senators. This is the 2nd time this season he's led the league in points, which is actually the first, duplicate, winner of that particular.
We're good at explaining things on the radio.
I know. This is the 12th time in Will's franchise that he's done that, which is 3rd all time.
You know what's scary?
What's that?
Peterson only had 4 points.
Right, I know. And Jay Young last week on the show, he mentioned that he thinks Will has the best team on paper. So, do you agree with that?
No.
No.
I still think Whiffen's
Okay.
team looks better. Well, now that Doug Martin's hurt, maybe not.
Right. Okay.
But,
all right. Well, moving forward here, the next game was the Yellow Peril defeating Brutal Deluxe. In a low-scoring game again. Peril wins, putting up only 94 points. Actually, all 4 of Jay Young's wins have come with scoring 95 points or less. He's only scored 100 points once, which actually was a loss back in week 1. So, he's certainly the benefit of, a relatively good schedule. I think he's probably second easiest schedule thus far, I'm guessing. I think Phil still has the best schedule. Brutal drops down to 1-6 in the midst of just a bad rebuilding type of season.
Yes.
Going over to the North Riverdale Division, Bob, you did it again. Good job.
I told you, if I make the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised.
Bubba beats the Loggers 99-84. Bub goes up to 2-5. Ben now 3-4. That's just a bad loss for Ben. He really needed to win some of these, quote unquote easy games. And I just found one of his coaching decisions. Actually, I'm going to kind of just state it and call him out on it. It turned out it really wouldn't have made the difference in the win or loss, but I thought it was going to when I happened to come across this on Sunday, but I still want to point it out. I know he made the trade actually with you for Quiz Rogers,
yes.
Right? So I found it interesting that, he made the trade for him. I know he didn't give up a lot. It was like he swapped
6 for a 7,
okay.
I believe it was.
But he started Keith Miller.
Double tight end
at his flex, and I think Miller only got like his standard 5 or 6 points.
5 for Miller, 3 for Tony G in the flex spot.
Right, but Tony G you're going to start at tight end.
Right.
I'm surprised that Quiz wasn't started at the flex, considering again he went out and got him. Quiz went and got 17 points.
Even Ryan Matthews against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I guess, but the fact what I'm saying is the fact that
right.
he went out and traded for him.
Right. Maybe he was just interested in the upcoming matchups. He's gonna having a couple running backs so he can play the matchups.
Well, again, it wouldn't have mattered in this win or loss. So
it's my juggernaut team.
Your villain status has raised greatly here just on this very show. I'm actually want to slap you right now, Bob.
Good. I hope you do.
So I beat Riverdale Scoopers. I beat the Handy Quacks 116 to 88. I'd go up to 5-2 now in sole possession of the North Riverdale Division lead. Handy Quacks drops down to 1-6. Again, just a bad time here in Zach's land. And he's lost 13. Zach land, yes. He's lost 13 of his last 15.
That's not good.
That is not good. It's obviously spanning back to last year. And then the last game was VIP on Swole beating the Rapists. That was a big game for both teams.
Yes.
VIP goes up to 4-3. Rapists down to 4-3. They're both now tied in second place in the North. Man, John's just been really hit by the injury bug.
Just absolutely
decimated.
That's a great word.
Sam Bradford snipped his. The 1 week he needed him. Although he still got 14 points.
But Reggie Wayne's gone.
Wayne snipped his. Arian Foster.
Julio Jones.
Aaron
right. Foster's hurt.
Jimmy Graham's nicked up.
I was just all over the place. James Jones, who John started. He didn't get a warning for it, even though he didn't play because I think he was ruled out Sunday at noon or something. 12:24 p.m. Yes.
Thank you, Bubba. And then, a little fun fact, Chris has been a wonderful addition to the Dynasty, and Ben has too from last year's free agent class. But what I want to say is very impressive. Chris he's played 24 games here in the Dynasty, including last year's playoff and Dynasty Bowl. Of those 24 games, 21 of which he scored 100 points or more. That is impressive.
It's not bad.
That is impressive.
Okay.
Random little nugget here. I happen to be just fucking around on the the CBS site, Bob. And I happen to kind of just tally up the bench points of all of our teams from all the games here this season thus far. Here to take a guess, are completely random. I don't even know honestly what this means. Like whoever has the most bench points, what does that mean? I don't know. But care to guess what team has the most bench points this season thus far?
I'm gonna guess. I want to guess Heaney because you brought it up, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna guess Will.
So Will DeYoung, Rockdale Senators, is your guess.
Is my guess. Was it Coach Cressini?
I wish that sound effect came through a little bit crisper. I blame Charter. Brandon, Brutal Deluxe, and it's not even close.
Hit me with the numbers.
He has 449 bench points, which is more than 100 points greater than the next best, or whatever, I don't know if it's best, but the next team, which is Coach Whiffen, Hong Kong, who has 337. And randomly, Jay Young is next, then Will, then Ben, then me, then John, Phil, Chris, and Brian are tied. The last two teams, Zach, 173, and then you, Bub.
Yes!
You have the least amount of bench points, 110. What do you think that means? Like, what does that mean? Does it mean anything?
No,
I don't know.
I think you can look at it a couple different ways. Number one, maybe Brandon has an extra. Like, I'm looking at his team now, and I don't know if it's just this week or all season, but he has 3 quarterbacks, 2 on his bench.
Okay.
So they are typically higher scoring.
It could also mean that he's started the wrong players.
Right, not a good manager. But then if you look at the other end of the spectrum, I have 2 backup running backs on my team who don't play, and I'm only keeping them there for injury purposes.
So handcuffing,
right? That's why I only have 110. So there's a lot of different variables.
So it probably doesn't really mean anything, just an interesting little thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
The Power Rankings. Hey, who's number 1? Hey, who's second ass? The Dynasty Power Rankings.
All right, we have 4 members of the Power Ranking Associated Rankers.
Fun fact, real quick: Jay Young is part of the PRA, but not a ranker.
Yes. Can anyone care to guess who's not on the line with us right now? I'll give you a hint. It's not me, Eric, John, or Whiffen. That's right. It's Brandon. Brandon decided to be
a dick,
a fucking retard,
classic
douchebag.
Brandon is supposed to be on with us, and he's not. And Bub, and actually, we got 4 members of the Dynasty board members right here. Phil is the only one, I think. Oh, Brandon is too, but Phil's the only one here not. Is this warning? Is this a warning? Is this a coach's warning?
I think this is a stern talking to.
I'm fine with warning him. We have a rule that says any miscellaneous act is warning potential. Matt and John, what do you think?
John, why don't you go first, buddy?
Okay, thank you. Well, it's not a warning. I mean, that rule that you just quoted is like so open to interpretation. You can warn us for anything, really.
Well, that's the point.
So you can warn me for what I just said, right?
Yes, correct, yes.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, Brandon should not be warned for this.
Okay.
But I think we should all be insulted and possibly Joe bucked. And, yeah.
I like it, Matt.
Eric, you should 100% be Joe Buck right now. No warning. I just think we got these great airways going across greater New England, as you tell all your guests, to let everyone know that Brandon is a douche.
Okay.
And a homophobe.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, then thank you guys. Let's go ahead and move forward here with the reason that we're all here, which is discuss the power rankings. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to add before we go ahead and move forward here?
Yeah, actually, if I could, Scoops, I would love to do some breaking news. Could we get that jingle going?
You got yourself breaking news?
I got some breaking news.
Stop everything. Seek shelter. Run for the hills. We have ourselves breaking news from the world of the Dynasty.
So I have made 2 trades, completely changing the face of the Hong Kong Cavaliers. I have traded Darren Sproles, my second-round pick,
9th, originally Bubba's, and my 13th to Soul Glow for Peyton Manning and C.J. Spiller.
Wow. Wowzers.
Uh-oh.
And
Wowzers.
I got another one.
You got another one.
Who?
Yep. And this one actually, I'm pretty proud of. I worked with Ben here. After we threatened each other, we actually sat down, had a coffee at a nice little coffee place in France. And I know that I'm not playing him anymore this week. So what I did is I traded him Matthew Stafford for Tom Brady. And the condition here is if Stafford has more points than Brady from this week on, I get a 9th round pick. If not, it's just a straight up trade.
Wow.
Interesting.
And John is confused that you actually legitimately went to France, which I don't blame him. Very interesting trades, and actually, Bub, is this maybe the first time Tom Brady and Peyton Manning's ever been on the same team in the Dynasty?
That's gotta be.
It's gotta be, right?
It's gotta be the first time.
So what? Obviously I'm not going to ask Brandon what he thinks of the trade because one, he's not here.
Hold on. Hey, let's ask him. Hey, Brandon, what do you think of the trade?
What do you think of the trade, Brandon? Oh. You fucking cock. Oh, I'm joking. You know what? If Brandon was here, I was not going to allow him to give his opinion because he when others give their opinion, he gets Joe Buck. So so I will ask Bob and John. John, let's start with you. What do you think of Coach Whiffin's trades here?
I think I am legitimately confused. So you now have Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's very nice.
Bob?
I think that's very nice, Matt. And I wish you good luck. May the luck of the Irish smile on you.
Matt, I'll tell you what. I think personally, and I haven't really looked too extensively at their schedules, but I think you maybe should have just kept Stafford with Peyton. I like the Peyton trade.
Here's why. They both have the same bye week.
Okay.
And that kind of screwed me up.
Fair enough.
And then also, I want this goddamn division, and I want this goddamn T-shirt. So, if I gave Stafford to Ben, Ben's playing Will in the Senators the rest of the year.
That makes sense.
Playing John and Scoops, so that would be helpful too. But I really want him to pound Phil and Will in their collective assholes.
Interesting. So
fair enough.
So the fact that he really wants to take home the South Riverdale division, he wants Ben to pound on his division foes. That factored into the trade. Interesting.
Good,
you know.
Hey, you know what? That's a good job by you. I didn't think that you were smart enough to do something like that.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and get to the reason why we are all here, the power rankings. I know that when we first kind of all got together back in the early weeks of the season, we talked about how hard it was to kind of decipher and rank the teams. We could have said Team A at 3 was the same as Team B at 8. Now that we're kind of here in the middle of the season, have we found it to be a little bit easier, or is it still hard? What do we think?
I think it's still hard, John. What do you think?
No, actually, I was going to say the opposite. I don't think it's as hard. The last 2 or 3 weeks has been pretty unanimous on who's number 1, and then number 2 has been me the last few weeks. But I think I'm assuming this week will probably change. I don't know. I don't find it as hard. At least it's still kind of open, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards John. I think it's certainly easier than it was before. Although that kind of goes without saying. There are still some rankings that are difficult to determine where they belong. But
I have the correct answer.
Bub, what is the correct answer?
Well, if the question was what was the hardest week, which I know it wasn't the question, but that's the question I'm proposing. The answer is after week 3, because Haney Quacks, who was supposed to be the best team in the league, was 0-3,
right.
and no one really knew where to slot him.
And none of us could believe
Yeah.
it.
And then like Whiffen was 3-0, and so we were all like, well, is he really that good? So
Right.
there's just so much disparity. I think now it's much easier. We have the legit, bottom 4, I guess you could say, and then you have, the top 2 or 3, and then those other 3 or 4 guys, I guess, are up and down, but
Yeah.
it's not as bad as if there's 7 or 8 people.
And Brandon, what do you think? Oh yeah, fuck you. So the number 1 team in the league goes without saying. Obviously, Coach Whiffen and this Hong Kong Cavaliers getting all 60 points available to him. 5 first-place votes. This is the 3rd week in a row that he's at number 1. The 2nd week in a row, he is the consensus number 1. Matt, how does it feel?
It's, I wouldn't say meaningless, because I'm very flattered that everyone thinks that, but I don't take this for granted. I know that just because I'm undefeated I'm hands down the best team in the league. Like Doug Martin's already hurt. I'm making these changes. I just hope to be one of the 4. You know what I mean?
It's very humble. That's very humble of you.
Humbling answer.
That's a great.
And maybe he learned from me last year,
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you, too. Riverdale Scoopers coming in at number 2, 54 points. Look, I think everybody pretty much ranked me second, although Bub, I think you were the only one who actually ranked me third. You put Rapist at number 2 and me at 3. What's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I think, obviously, the Rapists were, we already kind of touched on it before, decimated by injuries. I think going forward, obviously, that might be a problem. But to fault him for having Breeze and Graham on bye, Foster getting hurt, and then, Jones didn't play, but Wayne getting hurt, Bradford getting hurt, I just thought that was unfair. So although we only put up 80, and going forward it might be a problem, I still think he's a good team.
Hey, we actually have Brandon calling me back on the other line. John, hold on a moment. I hope I won't hang up on you. If I do, I'll call you back. Hello, is this Coach Brandon McDowell? Shit. Shoot, I think I lost everybody.
Whiffen, are you still there?
I'm there.
Yay!
So, we do have Coach Brandon on the line. Are you there?
Hey, man.
Hey, there he is.
Nice of you to join us.
There he is. John, are you still with us, too?
I'm here.
Okay, and we got Whiffen as well as Bob, the Power Rankings Association, minus Jay Young, who's not a ranker. Brandon, what the hell happened?
I'm literally sitting here, all medicined up, to the phone sleep. It's not, I would hear the phone ring, but apparently it didn't.
That's a great excuse.
Well, I just want to let you know that I am extremely Joe Bucked, but we're going to move forward here. We're in the midst of announcing...
Hey, Eric, I'm sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. I couldn't really hear Brandon, but I'm assuming he said,
I think those are my exact words.
So,
You
Brandon,
nailed it.
Brandon, we were in the midst of saying how the Scoopers are ranked number 2, the Rapists are ranked number 3, and actually, John, you actually very humbling. You ranked yourself the lowest out of all of us at 4. How come? Is it there injuries?
Well, I agree with everything that Bubba said earlier, and Bubba, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I mean, what happened to my team this week is really out of my control. But I don't know. I think compared to the other top 4 teams, I felt like they were better, and my situation is a little bit up in the air. But I mean, my team is still capable of putting up 140 points this upcoming week. So I think this week is going to be huge for me. So we'll see where I am.
We shall see.
We're just all about being humble on the...
We're being very humble, and Coach Brandon is a very analytical, individual. He's savvy with technology. He's working on the website. He's working on, the league spreadsheet is obviously amazing. Brandon, how did you determine the number 2 versus number 3 ranked teams with the Scoopers and the Rapists?
As I said today, flip of the coin, man. I literally flipped a quarter at my desk to figure out whether
you literally
or
flipped a coin.
John were going to be in the number 2 slot.
A coin flip. Okay. All right.
Like
Two-Face. Then number 4 comes in at VIP on Swole. We all ranked VIP either 4th or 5th, except for Brandon. Brandon, you actually ranked him 6th, so you think he's not quite as good as the rest of us. Pig Newtons came in at 5th. I'm going to guess that was John.
Yeah.
Okay. 5th was Pig Newtons. John actually ranked Phil 3rd, where Matt ranked him 8th. So quite a disparity there. Matt, you're not feeling Phil, are you?
I just think his quarterback situation is very shaky right now. If he can get that fixed up, if Vic gets healthy, then I definitely can see ranking him higher, but he's got a really iffy quarterback situation right now.
His whole team is iffy. His team stinks.
Yeah.
I wish I ranked him lower. Good job. Good for you.
Coming in at 6th of the Rockdalian Senators, obviously an up and down, inconsistent team. When he's up, he is up. But when he is down, he is down.
And when you're only halfway up, you're neither up nor down.
No. And then the Yellow Barrel came in at 7th. We all ranked them, him there around the 6th, 7th, 8th range. The Loggers came in at 8th. Again, we all ranked him in the 7th, 8th range. And then the final 4 teams, we actually all ranked exactly the same. Soul Glow at 9. Bubba Gump Shrimp at 10. Woo! You did it. You did it. Is this the first week that you're out of last?
Can I say something?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, what, John?
All right.
I'd like to just point out the fact that at the draft, I said, I believe on multiple occasions, that you love that too, but that Neil Palucha and his Bubblegum Shrimp team were not going to be the worst team in the league this year at the end of the season.
John, you actually...
Now, I'd like to point out that obviously the season is not over, and his team is still really bad. But Frugal Deluxe and Handy Quacks, as we know now, are also very bad. So it's still possible that Bubba may end up being the last in the league this season, but I just wanted to point that out there.
And John, you actually predicted Bubba to go all the way and make it to the Dynasty Bowl. So we'll see.
I'm sorry?
You predicted him to go all the way. Remember in the Keeper Selection Show?
Oh, yeah, well, it's like, whatever.
And then Handy Quacks came in second to last, and Brutal Deluxe coming in last, getting all last place votes. Brutal, Brandon, is this the first time you've ever come in last in the power rankings?
It's gotta be.
I think it is. It's a rebuilding season there for you. Well, fellas, thank you all for joining, and I hope you all nothing but the best of luck. I look forward to seeing you all this Sunday at the midseason hangout. Brandon, I'm Joe Bucked at you, so we're gonna have to talk offline after this.
I can't wait.
Now, let's take a look into the future with next week's matchups.
So, Bub, Week 8 begins the second round of our outer divisional games. Let's go through the slate of games. And it's a more important week because we're all together during these games, so it's even more,
there's more animosity.
There it is. The big divisional leaders, that doesn't make sense, but 2 division leaders are facing up against each other. The Riverdale Scoopers, 5-2, up against the Hong Kong Cavs at 7-0. Bub, I believe a couple weeks ago you said that the Hong Kong Cavs were going to get their first loss next week against the Handy Quacks. Do you still believe that? You think I'm going to beat them? You think they're going to go all the way? What the fuck do you think?
No, he'll win these 2.
Okay.
He's going to beat you, no offense.
Yeah, it's okay.
He's going to win, then he's going to beat Handy Quacks.
Yep.
I forget who he has the week after that.
Okay.
I'll have to take a look.
All right, so you're saying he's got a good shot at going 10-0.
Yep.
I feel like the Miami Dolphins here. I feel like I need to stop the, protect my record of the 10-0 and the 13-game winning streak, and I'm going to really try to beat him really hard. The 1-6 Handy Quacks are going up against the 5-2 Pig Newtons, kind of what the doctor ordered for Coach Phil here. 4-3 the Rapists going against the 3-4 Soul Glow. 4-3 VIP going against 3-4 Senator. That's a pretty big game for both teams. 3-4 Boston Loggers going up against 1-6 Brutal Deluxe. Ben needs to win this. There's no way he can compete in this league by losing to the 2 worst placed teams.
Whoa.
You're right. You're not.
Two out of three.
You're right. And then Bubba Gump going up against the Yellow Peril, 4-3. Looks, Bub, at this point you probably only need like 95, 98 points to beat Yellow Peril. So.
Which that's what I've been averaging the last couple games.
Game of the week, Bob.
You know what? I'm gonna go a different route here.
That's fine.
Partially because I just hate picking you in anything. Mm-hmm. But also because you and Hong Kong, it's gonna be a great game, and I don't think that it has as big of implications as VIP against Senators.
That's totally fine with me.
I think that's a big game for both of those teams, and if they lose, whoever loses, I think is in a heap of trouble.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I think if Coach Chris Heaney loses, he'll drop down to 4-4, depending on what else happens. Like if I lose, if John loses, but I don't think he's in a heap of trouble per se. I think Will would be.
Yes, but I think even John. If let's assume John wins, if Heaney loses, now he's third in the division.
Yeah.
By a game, maybe 2 games to you. I think
All
he's
right.
in a laundry heap of trouble.
Okay, well, Chris and Will in their one game they've played against each other, Chris did win. So we shall see VIP on Swole against the Senators, the game of the week that we'll all be together at during the midseason hangout. Let's go ahead and let's move forward with the show, our interactive segment. We're going to go ahead and get Bill Green on the line from FantasyDispute.com. Bub,
Can I be a part of this?
You can, but
said earlier.
Do me a favor, Bub. I know I can already tell what you're going to do, so I'm just going to put this out there. Obviously, one of the main, I guess more popular disputes which have occurred here in the Dynasty is obviously Hennygate. We've all, I think we've moved forward and moved past that at this point. I mean, we had Chad Henne on this goddamn show and talked to him about fucking Hennygate. We've discussed it. We've had Riverdale Gazette's articles, focusing on it. At this point, I feel it's a bit of a stale joke. Can you just do me a favor? Let's not bring that up and ask Bill Green about that.
I can't promise anything.
Now, the Dynasty Podcast brings you an interactive and likely ridiculous segment with borderlines on actual legit media. Buckle up your fucking seatbelts for the Dynasty Podcast interactive segment.
And now on the Jubes Family Restaurant Interactive Guest Hotline, we have the founder and CEO of FantasyDispute.com. His name is Bill Green. Bill, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Eric.
Great, Bill. Now, FantasyDispute.com seems like an intriguing concept and a way for fantasy coaches to essentially resolve the countless amounts of disputes and disagreements that are bound to occur in every fantasy league. Now, Bill, maybe you can just talk to us a little bit about how you originally came up with this concept and maybe how it works.
Sure. I've been playing fantasy sports for, about 15 years, and I was typically the commissioner in our league for several years, and inevitably some disputes would come up in our league, whether there be an allegation of an unfair trade or some rule that wasn't covered, or perhaps a glitch with the website, and so there was something unintended happened by an owner. And I looked around, and there really wasn't a service that allowed people to resolve your own disputes in your league. Mm-hmm. Typically, the commissioner, as the commissioner should do, will try and resolve disputes in their own league. But a lot of times, the commissioner is part of the dispute because the commissioner is involved. The commissioner is usually a team owner also, mm-hmm. and often that team will be involved in the trade that's disputed, or he may not be directly involved, but by being in the league himself or herself, rendering a decision on a trade, for example, could affect the whole league, including the commissioner's league standing. Mm-hmm. So even though the typical private league is set up with the commissioner to resolve their own disputes, there's an inherent conflict because the commissioner almost always has a vested interest in the league itself. So ideally, if the commissioner didn't have a team in the league, then that would be great. That would be an outside neutral person to resolve the league disputes. But the typical scenario is that the commissioner is also playing in the league and therefore has a conflict. And I recognize that, and so set up this service to allow for somebody neutral to make decisions and resolve league disputes.
Right. No, it definitely makes sense. As you said, in most cases, the commissioner is part of the league, so kind of good to have this option for a neutral decision maker. And then how does it actually work? So let's say a dispute occurs, a disagreement happens in a fantasy league. You go onto the fantasydispute.com site, and is there a way that you can essentially kind of submit what the dispute is, and then do both parties get their say, and then how is the decision actually made as to what the resolution should be?
The website is set up like a virtual courtroom, and in any actual court case, there's really two important documents. There's the complaint, which says, this is what happened, and this is wrong, and this is what I want. This is what I want the remedy to be. And then the other side files what's called an answer, generally disputing the original complaint. And that's how this website is set up. The person who has the complaint will type into the website the email address of himself and whoever else is part of the dispute, and a description of the dispute. And that can include relevant league rules, the particular website that is managing the hosting the league, any other statements from what I'll call witnesses, but it's really other owners in the league, what they think about the dispute, what the commissioner thinks. That's extremely important, and what's happened in this sort of situation before, if there's been any precedent for this sort of dispute. So that's the information I want to see in the initial complaint. And then once that's entered, an email is automatically generated to all of the other parties in the dispute, inviting them to respond and submit an answer. And again, they can quote from the league rules or constitution. They can include any statements from other league owners, something from the commissioner, whatever they want. And it's basically that those two pieces of information is what I use to render a decision. I do not invite, subsequent arguments for a couple of reasons. One, the service is relatively inexpensive. It's $14.95 for the dispute, and so I have to limit the amount of time that I'm willing to spend on this, and the amount of arguments that they'll get. So it's really a one-shot deal, and it encourages people to be thorough from the beginning and put in all of their arguments on both sides, and then I render a decision based on that.
All right, Bill. This has been going on for a few years now. What's the strangest debate you've ever had to settle?
Well, there's so many of them. I put them in kind of three categories. The most common one I get are a trade dispute. Those aren't that exciting or fun, but those are the most common. Another one I get is what to do when there's a dispute over, I would call it a rule dispute, when there's really no rule on the subject and something comes up. And then another type of dispute that's common is a computer malfunction. So those are sort of the few categories I get. But one of the most interesting ones I got was where to hold the draft. Believe it or not, I got the league. Every year they fly down to sunny Florida, to do an in-person live draft. And people flew down there with their laptops and to a hotel where they go annually. It was a beautiful day, and some people in the draft wanted to do it outdoors by the swimming pool, and other people wanted to do it indoors in a stuffy hotel room, so they'd have access to electricity and better access to their laptops. And the league could not figure out how to resolve it, and that was an actual dispute that I got.
What was your resolution? I hope you told him to go outside.
I said that I appreciate the need for relaxation and looking at women in bikinis, but the fantasy draft was a sacred ceremony, and people needed their computers, and it ought to be indoors for a brief amount of time, and then they could go outside afterwards.
I could just imagine what Coach Will would do with
Yeah,
scantily clad women while trying to draft.
That's a good point. I like that decision. Bill, I had something in my fantasy. I'm not going to go too far into it.
Hang on, I'm sorry. I'm getting another call.
That's all right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, too much into it, but the commissioner of this league ended up substituting Chad Henne.
Wait a minute, Bub. I'm sorry. I just interrupt. What are you doing? What? Really? We're going to bring this up right now?
No, I have to bring this up because he's a fantasy dispute guy. I want to see what he would have done.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to go.
Hey, let me tell my story. So, the commissioner of this league put Chad Henne in at like 1:30 after the games had started, or 2 o'clock, or what have you, because he had already thrown for 2 touchdowns, and David Garrard had like 2 points. Long story short, it was caught, and we ended up only penalizing him a 4th-round draft pick in the upcoming year. This should remind you, blatantly cheating.
Notice how you say only a 4th-round pick.
Because I think it was a little too soft. My question, Bill, I guess, is what do you think about that? If the commissioner is blatantly caught cheating, and we penalized him a 4th-round pick in the draft the following year, what do you think about that?
Put that into context a little bit, though, Bub. I mean, you didn't even talk about the past instances of people cheating and the fact that they didn't even get penalized.
I don't think there. Let's answer this question first, and then we can talk about that. Bill, what do you think?
Well, I definitely detect some sensitivity on both sides. I'm guessing not a hypothetical.
No.
It's actually happened.
So that comes up once in a while. The changing the lineup after the deadline. Most websites are set up so that individual players cannot change their lineup after the deadline, but the commissioner can easily override that. So I do get this once in a while. And believe it or not, it's hard to resolve these disputes. It really depends on a couple of things. Number one is the intent of the commissioner or the owner
blatant cheating
that missed the deadline. And then the second is the precedence in the league. What is the precedent? I generally favor strict rules. And if you miss the deadline, you miss the deadline. Everyone's got other things in their life. They've got work. They've got family emergencies, medical issues, and so on. And if you grant an exception for one person, it becomes a slippery slope, and then everyone wants an exception, and then suddenly it's 2 hours after kickoff, or it's the next day, and I really meant to do this, but I wasn't around my computer. So I used to be for sort of a bright line situation where if you miss the deadline, you miss the deadline, and that's it. I think I've softened in the last couple of years, and I think it is important to look at the motivations involved.
Oh no, Bill, let me stop you right there. And this was blatant. This was David Garrard had 2 points and Chad Henne had 20. This was a blatant. I'm gonna try to sneak this in and hope no one sees. This was blatant cheating.
I was playing the guard dogs for crying out loud.
This is blatant cheating. This wasn't I forgot to put him in. He was starting Garrard all week.
I knew what I was
doing.
And
then 2:30 comes along and he notices that Henne is having a better game, so he tried to slip one in quick.
In that situation, I would definitely reverse the transaction. That is, I hate to use the word cheating, but it certainly sounds like there's no good excuse.
Nope.
If you were around the computer before the deadline, and then you just waited until afterwards, and then saw the change in the difference in performance between 2 players, and then you chose the better player. That's not allowed. I would reverse it, and yes, I would impose a penalty beyond just reversing the transaction, because that does go to the heart of the game. That people need to be able to trust the commissioner. And I have had disputes like that where I will recommend some penalty in addition to just reversing the transaction because it needs to be there to let the entire league know that they will not, they'll just won't allow this sort of conduct in the future. So that's a no-no, but I'm sure there's another side to it.
There is certainly another side to it, but we won't get too into that. We've already spent a lot of time here on 3-4 years in the past, Bub, and we're really still talking about it.
I know we have the guy. We have the guy to answer our questions. So I was just curious what he thought.
Unbelievable. Well, we've moved forward, and the Dynasty is a better place now. I have a bit of a unique question for you, Bill. I have approximately 10 years of commissioner experience, in which, I'm just going to say it, last year I obtained a perfect commissioner rating, thank you very much. And this is a couple years after the incident we were just talking about. I've dealt with many, many different levels of disputes. I've helped create what myself and many others here feel to be one of the greatest fantasy football leagues in the entire world. I'm just wondering, how do you become a fantasy dispute judge, and are you hiring?
So I do accept resumes. I accept resumes on the website. I'm always looking for people with good fantasy experience and good judgment. And like you were saying, it's people get emotionally involved in these fantasy leagues, and it's sometimes it's for money, sometimes it's not. But even if it is for money, usually the amount of time you spend is way more than justifying the amount of prize money that might be won at the end. And I've seen friendships, and I hear in the two of your voices some anger that's still left over from this incident that happened a long time ago. And the service allows somebody outside the website to settle a dispute and actually save a league and save friendships. It turns out you don't need to be a genius to these disputes. You just have to be neutral and somebody outside of the league. And I think people respect your decision just because you don't have a vested interest. And I found that people are just appreciative because they think that you're trying to be fair, and they might not agree with the final decision, but they understand that you're not biased when you made it. And so that's the value of the service.
Bill, one final question. I don't think I'm imposing, but I apologize if I am. How much does this actually make? Or I guess the better question is, how many disputes would you say you get a year, maybe?
Well, it goes up and down. The biggest season is football. I get a lot more disputes during the football season than any other type of sport, but I do occasionally get, I get a fair number of baseball disputes and a fair number of basketball and even hockey. I even got one for fantasy cricket, believe it or not.
Whoa.
And I even got one for a fantasy celebrity game. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where you draft celebrities and then you get points depending on whether they take the front page of one of those magazines or they're mentioned in an inside article.
Last year there was a fantasy slut league at a high school in California where they were drafting girls that... Well, we won't get into that, sorry.
Right, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it goes up and down. It grows every year. The reality is I don't publicize my website very much because my day job is an attorney, and I make far more hourly as an attorney than I do settling disputes for $14.95. So there may be a large market for it, but I don't really encourage it that much. I look at it as a useful service because I enjoy the game and I want people to keep enjoying the game. And I think I can, provide some sense of relief for people that are having these issues relatively quickly and relatively inexpensively. But I'm not looking to this to be a full-time job or a large moneymaker. But I welcome, there are a couple of people that are competing with me, and more power to them.
Excellent. Well, again, his name is Bill Green. He is the founder and CEO of FantasyDispute.com. Feel free to go ahead and check it out. For anyone listening who is not in the Dynasty, you can go ahead and, like I said, go to www.fantasydispute.com to have your dispute resolved by a neutral party. And if you are in the Dynasty and you don't like what my resolution is for your dispute, feel free to leverage this great site as well. So, Bill, again, thanks for your time and good luck. And again, thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome. It was fun.
That was this week's Dynasty Podcast interactive segment.
You know what? I'm kind of curious to see if anyone's gonna
utilize it.
Yeah, that's a good word. Utilize. If you had to pick one person in the league,
Brian.
I agree. That's
okay.
right. I would agree.
No offense, obviously. We love Brian. I want to say this. I want to go on record. I really do. I love having Coach Brian in this league. I love having all you in this league. I'm just saying, if there's, to answer your question, if there's one person, and that's actually a good thing because I think he has the passion.
Passion's another good word.
Exactly. So that's not a bad thing. That's
I'm going to try to rectify things with Coach Brian and I, and by rectify,
you mean sucking his dick?
I mean like rectum.
Oh shit!
Stuff.
So, we've saved this for the end of the show. Bob, I want to go ahead and make some announcements pertaining to the mid-season hangout. We all know that this upcoming Sunday is the Jubes Family Restaurant, the Dynasty 10 mid-season hangout at Jillian's in Worcester. We're going to be in the VIP section again, and 11 of 12 coaches have confirmed that they will be there. Unfortunately, there is one particular coach who will not be there. It's not Will. It looks
Brandon.
like... No, Brandon will be there. It's actually Brian. He has something else going on. I know. I'm a little sad,
So I can't rectify things.
Well, you can rectify things in other fashions, unfortunately. Yeah. Unless something changes, I don't think he's going to be there, which it sucks, but hopefully some year we will have 100% participation.
Maybe if I reach out to him, I can convince him.
Sure. That would be great. I don't know if it's a matter of convincing.
Yeah,
I hope it's not. I think he has something else that really did come up. But either way, we're
like having a baby or something. Stupid.
I don't think he's having a baby.
I was making fun of Coach Haney.
Oh right. Well, I had a baby too, Bob.
Yeah, I know, but he
just had one. I got you. I'm a little
up.
sensitive. I apologize. But no, Will is coming. At least I think he is. He says he is. And you know what? Speaking of that, we all know what happened last year regarding Will and him not showing up and whatnot. Let's go ahead and get Coach Will DeYoung on the line and get a confirmation from him verbally.
What's going on?
Coach William Q. DeYoung of the Rockdalian Senators, congratulations. You are on a recorded line here on the Dynasty Podcast. My name is Commissioner Scooper. You're here with Bubba Palucha. Many listeners at home. We're just talking about the Jubes Family Restaurant Dynasty 10 mid-season hangout.
The Dynasty 10.
Thank you, Bubba. Coming up this Sunday. We're very happy to hear. It sounds like you will be attending. We know what happened last year as far as, you saying you come in and then the mystery check that was sent without explanation. One thing led to another. There was money missing off the dresser. My sister was knocked up. Anyway, can we get a verbal confirmation from the Coach William DeYoung that you will, in fact, be in attendance and grace us with your presence at the fun Dynasty Mid-Season 10 Jubes Family Restaurant fucking hangout?
What? Yes, I will be, in fact, attending.
Hey!
I decided that it just was... You guys needed some ethics at this thing, and really felt that the only way that was possible is for me to actually show up.
All right, Coach. We don't have a lot of time left on the show, but thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you on Sunday, and we will see you soon, Coach. Thank you very much. So, Bub, you heard it here first. William Q. DeYoung says he will be in attendance, so that is great news. The other thing that I wanted to point out, Bub, is a kind of very big news, or at least that I think of. It's something that Brandon and I actually work together. I actually told Brandon the other day that given this news that he assisted me with, if I were to give a ranking for coaches, like how you guys rank me as commissioner, I would give him a 10. That has now dropped down to a 4, considering what happened here on the show. However, with his help, we are actually going to be able to, I think, not 100% confirmed yet, we won't know until we get there, but I think we are going to be able to get the Gamecast up on one of the 3 big screen TVs. Bob, what do you think?
I'm curious of how that would work. Would we be able to click on? Oh yeah, I guess it'd be hooked up to a.
It's gonna be hooked in.
Right?
Shut up, fans. We're gonna be hooked in. We're gonna have the computer hooked in.
Right.
To the TV. Brandon set this all up, so blame him if it doesn't work.
We're still gonna have
We're gonna have the
Red Zone.
Patriots game on the main TV. We're gonna have the Red Zone on the second main TV, and then on like the right side TV is gonna be the game cast.
I'm just gonna give a forewarning to everyone. If you ruin any touchdowns before Coach Zach Palucha hears about them on the Red Zone channel, good luck.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, if you see on the bottom line of the Patriots game that Peyton Manning just threw a touchdown to Eric Decker, and it was not shown on the Red Zone channel yet, Coach Zach Palucha will rip your head off.
Why?
Because he will.
Is that like a pet peeve? Like, I don't even understand
yes,
why.
He wants to, and I agree to some extent. He's a little anal about it.
Because you have to, like, you're gonna see it. Who cares if you know about it?
But
before?
he doesn't like when it gets ruined. He likes Scott Hansen to come and say it.
Scott Hansen is really good.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's just super awesome.
He's kind of swirly too. Like he
swirly.
Is that the word? Like no. Okay. So this is gonna wrap up episode number 9 of the Dynasty Podcast, Bob. I'd like to thank Coach Ben Green. Thank you to the Power Rankings Association. Thanks to Bill Green, again no relation to Ben Green, of FantasyDispute.com. Thanks to Coach William DeYoung, who we will see at the midseason hangout, and thank you to everyone, of course, for listening.
As you already know, the Jubes Family Restaurant Dynasty 10 mid-season hangout is this Sunday at Jillian's. Feel free to arrive around 12:30, and please remember to compensate our wonderful assistant commissioner $5 for renting our commissioner for renting the VIP section.
This is Commissioner Scooper.
This is Bo Palucha.
And next week on the episode number 10, we are going to go ahead and we're going to have the always fascinating Coach Johnny C. of the Rapists. And on the interactive segment, next week, we got ourselves WWE/WWF hardcore legend Mick Foley. That's right. Mankind. Cactus Jack. Dude Love. You don't believe me, bitches, but it's gonna happen. We'll see most of you next Sunday at the midseason hangout. Over and out. This is your perfectly ranked Commissioner Scooper of America's team, your Riverdale Scoopers. On your way to Jillian's this Sunday for the Dynasty 10 mid-season hangout, be sure to stop at Jube's Family Restaurant for a quick snack, bathroom break, or just to say hello. Jube's Family Restaurant, where bathroom breaks and hellos go a long way.